It was an unusually warm day for October of 2008, about 9:30 a.m. My husband Roger and his pal Bert had driven to Harrisburg for a model train show, so I had the whole morning and afternoon to myself. It was a well-deserved break. This summer, our 4-bedroom brick home had been a revolving hotel of grandkids and great-grandkids coming to visit. They had flown kites, spent full days at Hershey Park and Knoebels, swam in the pool, and hiked in Bald Eagle State Forest, which borders my backyard. But now, the circus had moved on down the road, and I was at peace. It was early morning. The gentle sun was beginning to warm the sky and dry the dew. I was in the garden tending to my cucumbers. I was on my knees pulling the stray weeds and enjoying the aroma of abundant life all around me. At first I didn't notice the change. I heard a stirring in the woods, but I thought nothing of it. A deer, a bobcat, or maybe a wild hog made the tramping noise. But then something odd occurred. It was like the world began to slow down. I could hear my heartbeat getting slower and slower. My breaths became deep and long. My blinks became more pronounced. Is this what it's like to die? If it was, then I was okay with that. I had had an amazing summer. I was happy. Except for birthing 5 boys and a couple of surgeries, I had never been in the hospital for more than 3 or 4 days. I was of sound mind, loved and doing what I do the best, adding flavor to life. My heart had beat for 81 years, and now it was time to rest. As I sat there waiting for the inevitable closing of my eyes, I saw something so incredible that I consider it one of the greatest gifts of my life. Out of the thick forest came a tall, black-haired figure. It gracefully walked on 2 legs. The visitor had a human-like face with soft eyes. She was about 7 feet tall. Following her footprints were 2 smaller creatures, each about 4 feet tall. They playfully jostled each other, as young boys will do. The creatures noticed me, however, they did not mind being watched. I made eye contact with the mother. She glanced my way for a few seconds before walking up to the garden. I reasoned that if I didn't make any sudden movements, I would be fine. Mom began eyeing the pumpkins. She took 3 out of the ground and held them like they were bowling balls stacked upon one another. The boys grabbed some carrots and lettuce. I was still in a half-conscious state. My heart beat slowly. My breaths were deep. My eyes blinked in a methodical rhythm. I wasn't afraid as much as I was tranquil. Up until that moment, I did not believe in Bigfoot. If they did exist, then they must live in Washington or Oregon or Canada. I had never heard of someone seeing Bigfoot in Pennsylvania of all places. But there were 3 of them, just a few yards away. I felt warm and privileged to be a part of this magical experience. I was bemused most of all by the youngsters. Though tall, they were just little kids, like my own grandchildren. They would probably enjoy kicking around a soccer ball, tag, or swimming in the lake, but that was never meant to be. I was caught in the moment to a degree that I lifted up one of the cucumbers and held out to the boys. They tilted their heads at me rather timidly. Mom was still busy with her grocery shopping. One of the boys took a couple of steps in my direction, with his right hand indicating that he wanted it. Just then, I heard growling. The boys froze and turned to Mom. They were being scolded for coming too close. One of them turned around and headed back towards Mom. The other sneered at me and beat his chest. Mother knows best. Her babies should not be too close to humans, or else they might become beggars or invite hunters. With shopping completed, the family headed back to the woods. My breathing and heart rate returned to normal. I had a pen and a journal next to me that I used to keep track of garden. I grabbed the pen and quickly drew the creatures. I didn't want the faces to be too fearsome or too human-like, but somewhere in between. I wanted them to be just as I had witnessed. I ran back into the house. I picked up my cell phone to call my best friend June. I had almost dialed the last digit, but I hesitated. I hung up the phone and sat down at the kitchen table. I wanted to tell the whole world what I had just seen, but I began to question my motives. I had to factor in how that would seem to others. My husband would send me to a doctor for a checkup. My little ones might be too scared to visit Grandma's house. I would be bothered with Sasquatch enthusiasts begging for an interview. I looked at the sketches I had made in my journal. I thought for a moment and then ripped them out and tossed them in the trash can. I got a rake from the woodshed and covered up their tracks with dirt and grass. When my husband returned home, his supper was ready. I said that after he had left that morning, I discovered that bears had gotten into my garden. Oh well, it happens. I have decided to never tell anyone about my encounter. It is a secret I will take to the grave. I just hope that if others witness something similar, they will respect these forest giants and let them live in peace. May they ever remain a mystery.